Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, I want to break down exactly how we took one of our clients we took on 2 months ago and scaled them up from $500 a day to $5,000 a day in revenue in a matter of just 3 weeks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the exact strategy that we use that has allowed us to scale so efficiently in such a short period of time, and also the strategy that we're going to use to take them from $5,000 a day to $10,000 a day over the next 3 to 4 months. So with that being said, let's jump onto the computer and let me run you through the case study. So this client had their own specific set of issues, as any client really have, but this was a bit out of the ordinary compared to the normal client we usually work with, because the usual client we work with already have some sort of paid advertising going on, but this client had nothing on Facebook. They had only been posting on Instagram, boosted a few posts here and there, but nothing really concrete to look into. So no previous ad history. Also, there was not a lot of traction. They were kind of stuck at around $500 a day for a long time in terms of revenue, and they couldn't seem to grow past that. You know, their revenue would swing anywhere from $200-300 a day to like $600-700 a day on average. Like, they wouldn't really get past $12-15K a month. And also, we opted to go with a new country they hadn't been advertising in before, or like basically what was the smallest country in terms of actual Shopify revenue. So they have different Shopify stores. They have one for the EU, they have one for UK, and they have one for the US. And we opted to go with the US because they saw a huge market potential there, but they also didn't have a ton of revenue coming in from the US specifically. And because they didn't really focus on the US, it was kind of a new market for them. They also had no pixel. So they only had a pixel on the UK side, but nothing on the US. So we basically went in there completely blind, no pixel data, no nothing. And also they had no ad creatives. So because they haven't been running any ads before, they really didn't bother ever to, they didn't have the need to make any ad creatives. So the only thing they really had was something on their Instagram, which isn't really good for direct response and driving those conversions. So we had to basically, as I said, take it from scratch and build everything from the ground up. So the solutions we ended up going with was, first off, we had to make a really impressive launch. We knew that we had to make an impressive launch and a good launch. So we went through basically 29 video iterations before we settled on 3 videos we could launch. And also we made country specific content. So because these guys sell collectible cars or toy cars, they have quite a few different models, and they knew from wholesale that a specific car models sold better in the US compared to the UK. So what they knew was that Mustang cars, Lamborghinis, and all those like flashy and muscle cars sold way better in the US compared to the UK and Europe, where they prefer, classic cars. And just Europeans generally have a better style, right? So we knew going into it that we had to create very specific content that would resonate better with the US market, right? And then we had to implement our phase system, which is the way we run and test ads, and also what allows us to scale so efficiently. And the phase system I'm gonna get into a little bit later. But a second part of what allowed us to scale so efficiently was that we looked at performance holistically. So we looked a lot at NCPA, incremental increases in revenue. And so the in-platform metrics didn't really matter that much to us, because we knew that they're stuck around $500 a day. So if we saw revenue increase, to let's say $1,000 a day from the ads, then that was fine. It didn't really matter to us where the actual conversions came from, as long as their overall revenue just increased. So besides NCPA and incremental increases in revenue, we also just looked a lot at repeating customer rate, making sure that was low, and then we were basically happy. So to go into Shopify, just to show a little bit of data, right? This is the fun part. So we actually ran a little bit of ads for them in October, but they got restricted payment methods on Facebook. So there were a little bit of problems with that. So basically we launched the ads on November 18th. So as you can see here, they're kind of averaging, $700 a day, $570, $220, $450, $450, $465, $250, $1K. So they're kind of averaging that like $500 a day. And then November 18th comes around and we hit 2K on the first day of advertising. That's great news for us. So 2K, 1.9K, 1.4. And then we start our scaling campaigns. So we actually increased the budget from $100 a day to $500 or $600 a day. So that incremental increase in ad spend also increased the revenue from 1.8, 1.5K to 4K basically. And then come Black Friday, so the data is a little bit skewed, but basically since Black Friday, they were then hovering around 5K a day. So if we look at let's just take December here, you can see that it's 4.4, 5.3, 5.2, 4.2, 12K, was a really good day. 4.1, 4.7, 5K. So we basically, in a matter of from the November 18th till December 1st, something like that, we basically increased them from $500 a day to 5K a day in revenue. And it's been super stable since then. Like you can see their revenue doesn't really fluctuate you can see their revenue doesn't really fluctuate a lot. It kind of ranges between 4.4 to 5.4K on average. So from $600 of ad spend, they basically increase their revenue from, 4.5K in extra revenue a day, which is great. So basically how we went about this is that we have this phase system as I talked about, right? So here I just have it on last month, and as you can see, just disregard the Black Friday campaign, but as you can see, we have phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. And the thing we started with was phase 1 and phase 2. So because we already had a little bit of advertising history from October, we knew that we had found some winning audiences that could work, which is what we do in phase 1. So basically, phase 1 is just 5 ad sets, and we will never touch this campaign besides just rolling in new creatives. So audiences we never touch for this campaign, and we just roll in new ads. So basically what we could see was that the Cat 2 movie, as you'll see here, performed really well and perform really stable. So we wanted to test that theory. That's basically how we approach our advertising. So we wanted to test the theory of, okay, can this ad perform good with multiple different audiences? So that's what we did. So in phase 2, basically what we do is we take all the winning, let's call them that, winning ads from phase 1 and we roll them into phase 2, which is where we then try and pair up the winning ads from phase 1 and then just test new audiences. So as you can see here, we have a bunch of different audiences that we tested out with only the winning ad from phase 1. And we could see here it performed great. So as you will see right here, the purchase ROAS in November was on the phase 2 campaign 6.6 on average. So we have a few audiences performing better than others, right? Lamborghini US Classic performed at a 9.2, Rolls-Royce 9X, Maserati 4.2. So basically everything here was performing really well. So we launched the ads on November 18th, right? Which is where you'll see this bump up in revenue. And then basically we launched phase 3, which is a scaling campaign 4 days later because the results were that good. So we were confident that, okay, even though we take a ROAS hit from increasing spend 5x, it will still be profitable. So that's what we did. So this was phase 3, which is where we basically just duplicate everything from phase 2 and just crank up the ad spend from, well, that's £50 a day to £500 a day. And you can see in November, this averaged a 5x return on ad spend, which is also great. But as I said, we don't really look at in-platform data. The most important thing for us was just how does the actual revenue increase, right? So revenue increased 290%. And if we just look at from when we launched the ads compared to previously, ads, their revenue increased 754% and returning customer rate decreased. So we brought in more new customers, which is great. So basically the question becomes now, how do we take these guys from 5K a day to 10K a day, right? This is sort of the next step for them. So basically we're gonna do the exact same thing as we did from taking them from 500 to 5K. That's the same thing that's gonna take them to 10K a day. So basically we're just gonna keep the phase system, which is in phase 1, we test more creatives, products, and offers. So they have a bunch of new car models coming out here in Q1 2023. And we're basically gonna try and bundle some of these up together and then try and increase average order value through that. Phase 2 is basically once we find some winning creatives, products, or offers, we're just gonna pair them up with more audiences and broader audiences for added stability, right? And then phase 3 is once we have a few combinations between some ads and some audiences that perform really well, we put that into phase 3, and then we'll just slowly increase ad spend for added stability instead of trying to take this massive jump again from $500 a day in ad spend to, let's say 3K a day in ad spend. We'll just slowly increase this in increments, also because these guys are already in stock issues or experiencing stock issues, and then we'll just watch the incremental increases in revenue. So looking at the business holistically will be much more important than just looking at in-platform data, because Facebook can tell us it's a 1x return on ad spend, but if they're still getting 5K a day in revenue from the same ad spend, we don't really care, because we have the client's best interest at heart, right? So the key here is really simple scales and fancy fails. We are not looking to reinvent the wheel for this client, taking them to 300K per month in revenue. We're simply gonna do the actions that we did to take them to 5K and just do more of it, right? It's the boring work that wins. Because when we go from spending 500 a day to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a day, it will inevitably be more complicated just from churning out more and more creatives, being more creative with offers and products, right? So the ad account itself shouldn't evolve into this massive mess of CBO this, ABO that, cost cap this, and bid cap that. No. We're just gonna keep it very, very simple, because that will be the reason why we'll win. So yeah, guys, this basically wraps up how we took this client from 500 a day to 5,000 a day, and also how we plan on taking them to 10K a day in, well, probably 3 to 4 months time once they get their stocks issue resolved. But yeah, I hope you found some real value in this video. If you would like me to make more of these sort of case studies, I will be happy to do that. Just drop a comment below and like the video. And if you would like to see more content like this as well, so consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.